When it comes to beat 'em up games, there's only a handful that the general audience knows of. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Double Dragon, Final Fight, TMNT, and Streets of Rage. Beat 'em ups were very popular in the 90s, and they were a genre that were very suitable for the arcades, but had become pretty niche since the 2000s. Beat 'em ups eventually evolved into hack and slash games such as Devil May Cry, God of War, and Bayonetta. While the hack and slash games also is one of my favorite genres, playing these games made me miss the traditional 2D beat 'em up genre. Streets of Rage is one of my favorite game series and one of the first games I played back when I first got my Sega Genesis. I remember playing this game with my brothers and getting upset because we kept fighting over who was going to play as Adam. While the first game didn't age well, Streets of Rage 3 is the most modern out of the trilogy and still fun to go back to. I kept buying the Sega game collections on later generations just to experience the first three games of the series. And the more I played them, especially 3, the more I wanted a new entry. For a while, it seemed like Sega forgot all of their IPs that were not Sonic, Yakuza, or Persona. But that all changed in 2020. Since the year 2020, Sega has made much more of an effort to bring back a lot of their dormant IPs. Just 2 years ago, we saw a trailer showing Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, GoldenEye, Shinobi, and the new 3D Streets of Rage. While I'm all for Sega giving more love to their IPs, we definitely have to talk about Streets of Rage 4 that dropped in 2020. I wanted to define what a beat 'em up game is and what makes a great beat 'em up game. A beat 'em up game is a classic action game where one or more players fight large waves of enemies through scrolling levels, using simple melee attacks, your kicking, your punching, and also using weapons that are found throughout the level. Often featuring multiplayer and a B-movie plot, with heroes eventually saving the day. Pretty simple. Now, what makes a beat 'em up game good? A good beat 'em up game is going to excel with satisfying, intuitive combat. Simple to play, hard to master. Varied enemies that require strategy, responsive controls with good hit detection, and a strong rhythm of action and also downtime. This is often enhanced by the multiplayer, engaging characters, and some of the key elements include strategic depth beyond button mashing, distinct player moves, diverse enemy types, well-placed difficulty curve. I wanted to explain my opinion on why I think Streets of Rage 4 excels at these feats. I'll be splitting this video into 4 parts: memorable visuals, music, gameplay, and story. While this video is not a review of Streets of Rage 4, it's really just my appreciation for this game and why I feel like it's a perfect way to bring back a franchise that has been absent for about 20 years. The first thing that caught my attention when I first saw Streets of Rage 4 was the art style. Usually games that have a sequel that are 20 years apart from the previous entry, the developers try to keep the art style similar to a 16-bit or 32-bit pixel art style. I like that they decided to go with the hand-drawn art. This allows the characters to show more expression in their movement and give a little more life to these characters. I love the attention to detail that the artist gave the characters as well. You can see the age showing on the main cast from the previous iterations. Axel being 35 and retired, which sounds incredible by the way, looks like a man who has not gone and kept up with himself. Adam now being part of the special forces, but is a father now, so he's much more serious and much more protective. And then there's Blaze, which I think has the funniest story. She is a former police officer who is now a dance instructor because she punched the commissioner in the face because she did not want to apologize to him. I think that's actually hilarious, and yes, that is according to the Streets of Rage 4 Wiki, I am not lying about that. I think the hand-drawn animation also allows this game to feel much more smooth, and shows the improvement of the beat 'em up game genre. Each piece of artwork makes me want an animated show based off this game. Back in 2022, a live action show was announced to be in the works, and that's cool, but I really think an anime would be amazing, especially with this art style. Video game music is very important to me. It helps me immerse into the stage that I'm playing. I'm someone that's going to pause the game, listen to the music, finish the level, go back to YouTube, and then run that track back. Streets of Rage 4 is nothing but bangers. This soundtrack includes the original composer, and I'm sorry if I butchered the name, Yuzo Koshiro. I think I'm saying that right. He remixed his classic from Streets of Rage 2, Go Straight. And I gotta say, he made an amazing main theme. When I first booted up this game, I sat and listened to the main theme for 10 minutes. I kid you not. Then when I knew this game was gonna have an amazing soundtrack, the next piece of music, I sat and listened to the character select screen. For the same amount of time, 10 minutes. It's been 20 minutes and I have not even played the game yet, and I'm just listening to the soundtrack. Then I hear the classic Go Straight that's titled They're Back as the first level. I instantly knew I was going to love this game. I was going to have a blast with this game because this music started off so amazing. The rest of the game is mostly composed by Olivier Derivre. I'm sorry if I messed up your name. He's a French composer who also worked on the amazing soundtrack South of Midnight. His standout tracks to me are Call the Cops, Funky HQ, The Stormboat, Scattle, and Exhibition. possibly my favorite track of this game, Rising Up. What makes Rising Up my favorite is the setting it helps create. You're near the end of the game, and you and the characters are rising up in a massive elevator, fighting off a wave of previous grunts that you have encountered. Only when you make it to the top, you find your close friend Max Thunder, who was in Streets of Rage 3. He's mind controlled by the main antagonist's mind control device, and you have to free him from being mind controlled. I think the composers made a soundtrack that is possibly the best soundtrack of any beat 'em up game. Streets of Rage 4 has 5 main characters. The original 3 consists of Axel, the main brawler, who is slower than how he previously was in the main trilogy, but he's the easiest to pick up and play. Blaze, she's great for juggles and air mobility, and Adam is a great rushdown player, and possibly the best in the game. Then there's 2 newcomers. Cherry, who's the most mobile and the only one of the characters that have a run animation. While she doesn't do great damage, her movement allows the player to actually build up combo points very quickly. And finally, there's Floyd. Floyd feels like a combination of the previous 2 characters in the previous game, Max and Dr. Zan. He's very slow with his movement, but does outstanding damage. He's my pick if anyone's going to do a full trophy hunt in this game. While each character is fun to play, I found myself using Adam and Shiva. Shiva is playable through the DLC, and he actually first appeared in Streets of Rage 3. He has a dash attack, or just a dash, that allows him for great ground control and heavy juggling ability with his spirit kick. Each character has their own basic attack and specials. Similar to Streets of Rage 2, the special attacks cost you your health, but you gain it back when you land hits prior to using your special. This gives you the opportunity to use your special to extend your combos rather than just mashing the special button. I actually like that they kept this because it forces the player to learn how to extend their combos. And then you have your star attacks. These attacks are used as a finisher or the get out of jail free card. Usually the star attack is able to do massive damage to all enemies that are currently on the screen. Landing combos in Streets of Rage 4 is very satisfying. It's fun to try out new ways to juggle the enemy. This is where I think Lizard Cube excels at, as they also develop Shinobi Art of Vengeance, and I think that combo system is also incredibly satisfying. The levels are designed very well to help you with your combos. You can bounce enemies off of walls and also the containers, but I think the DLC is the best way to test your skills with combos. The DLC consists of a survival mode where you fight waves of enemies in a simulation that was created by Dr. Zan. Here you need to create ways to extend your combos to grant you extra stars, which can help you extend your fight. Because it is a survival mode, you do not have any lives that you can lose. The stages in the DLC are perfect for extending your combos because there's more tight space in these levels, along with more containers that are available for use. Also, the DLC grants a list of extra special moves that you can use along with the original special moves given. Some of these moves make the character a little bit more interesting to play, like Axel. He gets Ken's Shoryuken. I think that's pretty interesting and pretty fun to use. But I think the original moves that the characters have, I feel fit the characters much more. And maybe it's just a skill issue for me. But I haven't had much luck of having the time to learn new combos. And honestly, I just go ahead and label it as a skill issue. At the end of each stage, you'll face off against the boss of that level. Each boss is different. Granted, like most beat 'em up games, there's going to be different versions of similar bosses that you have faced before. Take for instance D.Va, Bayo, and Rhea. Sisters that you fight that look the same but have different elemental powers. Diva is going to be the first boss that you'll fight in the first level. She has electrical powers that will stun the player if they're hit by these powers. Bayo will go ahead and poison the player with a puddle of poison. If the player steps on that puddle, they'll slip, but they'll also take damage over time. And then you have Rhea. She has fire powers, which will burn the player, of course. If the player steps on the fire, they'll actually be tossed in the air. This will grant the boss to extend their combos on you. While these characters look similar, they're each different with their elemental powers and makes the gameplay fun and also unique. My favorite boss fights are the Commissioner, Shiva, Max, and DJ Keiwashi. The DJ is probably the most unique out of the game. He'll throw projectiles that are music notes, and the player has to avoid while also trying to get close. The boss has a shield that needs to be broken before you can actually do damage. Along with the DJ, smaller grunt enemies will appear, and it makes the boss more challenging. This fight is really fun because it forces the player to have to learn the combos, as if the combo is broken, the DJ will regain his conscience and his shield will grow back. The final boss is also pretty interesting. In stage 11 you fight Mr. Y. He does his best King Von impression, and he's trying to Swiss cheese all the characters. When he's not using his Uzi, he uses his grenade launcher, and also he throws grenades at you. This is a mentally unstable man. After you defeat Mr. Y, you fight Miss Y at the end of stage 12. She's more unhinged. She uses a katana with electrical powers and is just trying to slice you up. She does not care about anything. What makes it a little bit more challenging is that she has super armor. Having the super armor makes it a little bit more challenging to complete combos on her. But once you do, it's impeccable that you keep your combo going. Once that breaks, her super armor will regenerate. After you defeat Miss Y, then you fight them in their privilege mech. To defeat them, you need to focus on one of the Y twins. They're both going to be outside the mech using the same patterns that they were using in the previous boss fights. Once you get one of the Y twins to halfway of their HP, the character with half of the HP will take control of the mech while you're still fighting the other Y twin with their full health. You'll have to attack the mech while you're also fighting the other Y twin. Once the Y twin that is in the mech is defeated, the Y twin that's outside the mech is going to also hop in the mech, and then you have to defeat the mech once and for all. Once you defeat both, then the game is over. This game and this boss fight is very challenging to beat on Mania Plus, but it's very satisfying to also do. No one plays Streets of Rage for the story, but the fact that Lizard-Q found a way to continue the story with the Y twins, the children of Mr. X, I think is pretty cool. Essentially, the story takes place 10 years after the fall of Mr. X, when a new criminal entity led by Mr. X's children, the Y twins, they take over the city. Eventually, Axel and Blaze, they reunite with Adam's daughter, Cherry, and also Dr. Zan's apprentice, Floyd. As you continue the story, you meet up with Adam and they end up taking down the Y twins, with Adam actually arresting both at the end of the game. The story is very easy to follow, like it was in the original trilogy. Like I said, nothing too special, but something that's pretty cool. Also, I do like the fact that they allowed Blaze to become a dance instructor because she didn't want to take anger management classes for punching the commissioner in the face. What really made Streets of Rage 4 special to me was the attention many people were giving the beat 'em up genre. Since Streets of Rage 4, we've seen more releases from this genre, like TMNT Shredder's Revenge, Marvel Cosmic Invasion, and Scott Pilgrim. Now, I'm not going to say that Streets of Rage saved beat 'em ups, but I can definitely say that Streets of Rage allowed developers and publishers like Dotemu and Lizard-Q more recognition within the genre. Dotemu has published many games after Streets of Rage, including TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I've been looking forward to playing Marvel The Cosmic Invasion. I think the art style resembles more of a Marvel vs. Capcom look, and the music sounds incredible. The gameplay looks very fun and definitely a game I'm going to platinum. I think I did a pretty good job with my case on why I think Streets of Rage 4 is the best, if not top 3 beat 'em up game ever created. I think this game does an amazing job with evolving the combat compared to the original trilogy, and it holds up, and to me is better than the combat of more recent beat 'em up games. I played TMNT Shredder's Revenge and also the Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. While both of those games go for more of a retro feel, especially with the combat, I think the combat in Streets of Rage 4 feels much more satisfying to land, especially with those combos. I think the visuals are still stunning and look amazing, and I think the music is still memorable. But let me know what you all think. What's your favorite beat 'em up game? Alright, I'm out. Peace.